So we now have four main details for the stack joint anchor. Using dynamic blocks, I was able to reduce the number of details we have. So since we don't have to show every single option, the dynamic blocks now will give you the options and flexibilities that we were showing in individual details. So I just want to briefly demonstrate the dynamic blocks and the functionality that I have now included. So the first details 1 and 2 are for the spandrel conditions. So number 1 is a captured stack, and then number 2 is the inviso stack with spandrel glazing. And then I'll show you and demonstrate what the dynamic blocks do within those. Detail 3 is the captured but with the vision condition, and there's also dynamic blocks in there as well. And detail 4 is the inviso with the vision with the dynamic blocks inside there as well. So I'm going to demonstrate on this detail here, the inviso, and show you what the dynamic blocks do. Just as a reminder, since dynamic blocks are new for us in our library, I added in the def points layer which blocks currently are inserted in this detail that have the dynamic blocks to them, functionality, so that way you're aware. So if you don't visually see the condition that you want, you have to modify the block to get the option that you want, and I will demonstrate that. So here is the inviso detail. And so again, the deck edge itself is its own dynamic block. It has two grips here. One is for the height of the deck. You can stretch that to whatever depth you need. And then this other grip here gives you the functionality to change the type of deck. So you have a metal deck. You have the 1/4-inch steel deck with a stud. You'll have a 1/4-inch deck edge without the stud, and then a poured-in-place edge deck. And each of those have the grip functionality to adjust the size. In a previous video, I showed you how you can modify the stud. Right now it's a little hard to see because it's overlapping, but the stud has its own grip, so that can be moved up and down as needed to whatever location you need. And it's also part of the block. Okay, so I'm going to go back to metal deck. The embed is its own separate dynamic block. So if you don't need the embed and you have a steel deck edge, you just would not, or delete this block from the detail. But here you have the option to toggle between the Hilti 50 or the 70, and it'll automatically update for you. Okay, so that's in there. The Mac clip itself is our standard Mac clip, the MIS 5712 profile. And we have the 5-inch version or the offset version. Okay, and you will need to do some cleanup and move your hook lug accordingly. And then the hook lug itself has its own block. You have the 3-bolt with a dead load, 4-bolt with a dead load, and the 3-bolt wind load, and the 3-bolt, 4-bolt wind load. And I just noticed I have a little note there I have to clean up, but I will do that shortly. And so that's all the anchor dynamic blocks. And so now for the vision area. So this is our standard vision condition with the filler and this hidden bayonet bolt. But if you click on the extrusion, there's the dynamic grip. So we have this option. We have the anchor cover like this, and with the field use closer. So that's one option. And then the third option is with the shop use cover. So those three are built in for this vision condition. So this functionality for this is only for our standard detail number 3 and 4, because those are the vision. The anchor details and the anchor dynamic blocks are on all 4 of these standard details. So that will clean up our detail library and hopefully make it easier and faster for everyone to draw up these details. Thanks.